Okay, welcome to Solarize Mount Pleasant. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. Really excited to be launching this series up here. This is actually my first time doing Solarize Mount Pleasant. So we run this program statewide. There's previously, maybe 3, 4 years back, there was a community meeting about this, but working with a great installer, and now is a great time. This is the commercial portion for the event, and so the residential will be following it right after. Some of the same information, but place of worship, commercial, nonprofit, schools, local units of government. Really is now is the time to get your solar project started. There's money on the table waiting for you. So we'll dive into that today and we'll be around to answer more questions. So my name is Marshall Clabeau. I serve as the Director of Michigan Solar Communities with the Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association. GLREA is one of the older nonprofits in the state of Michigan, working on advocacy, education, implementation of renewable energy. Been around since 1991, 1992, doing this work. We are a membership-based organization, so please consider joining to be either a business member or individual member. Helps us keep the lights on, growing the work, doing the work. And GLRA is full of great resources. People like Clyde Taylor here. We have every Thursday night Solar Story, where an expert from the community of the renewable energy, mostly Michigan-based, but sometimes national, will share their story. Our YouTube is full of great information. You know, I hate watching videos and YouTubes as much as the next person, but our Thursday night Solar Stories are very interesting and are full of good resources online. Here's just a reminder about our membership. This is how we're able to continue our work. And this is a graphic I like to show really at every presentation, nearly every presentation I give. Thank you to the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory for allowing the use of this graphic in the Department of Energy. And what it shows here is the energy breakdown in Michigan. So you'll note that it says 2021. That's just because they stopped producing the graphic. But solar is that very, very thin yellow line up at the top left there. So as the state of Michigan transitions to a renewable energy economy, not only by state mandate, but for climate reasons that we're aware of, we're really going to need to increase our solar, our hydro, our wind, our geothermal. And one thing I like to point out is that all of this rejected energy, all this gray over here on the right, that is from fossil fuels. That is from wasted heat in order to generate the large sums of energy we need. There's a lot of wasted heat. So as we transition to a more decentralized energy system through solar, through wind, through geothermal, we're going to eliminate the need for a lot of that rejected energy, which will help in the transition. A good resource for communities, businesses, nonprofits, places to worship is our Michigan Solar Communities Guidebook. This was a resource that took about 5 years in development. We actually just made a more condensed version that will be launching soon, but at our website, glra.org, you can download that digital version. And I say it's really everything under the sun to help your project get across the finish line. This is just a quick slide to download it. And again, you'll be getting these slides by email. So, you know, if we're moving fast, that's why. So this is Solarize across Michigan. Really is a statewide program. Got Mount Pleasant up here. We got a UP event next week in Marquette. We did our first one in Alger County in the UP last year. I'm in Lansing, so some of our more successful programs have been in Lansing. Did one just last week, Ingham County. Had a great turnout, and it's looking like people have already signed. So that's an exciting project. We got a pretty comprehensive series in Oakland County, doing 8 events over the course of the year, and then 6 event series in Wayne County starting up. So we're moving around, but it's still a great time to get solar. So what is Solarize? Solarize is a group purchasing model, bringing together neighbors, family members, and communities to get the biggest discount we can on solar. The model started in 2022 in Ann Arbor, much like a Tupperware party of the past, where neighbors would get in a room much like this and say, you know, 5 people sign up, 10 people sign up, and kind of a graduated tier of discounts. We'll get more into the discount structure later on, but our program is really 5% just for participating, and it graduates up to 15% based on how many people sign. And the idea is that it helps not only communities get educated on solar, but it helps our contractors who are vetted through Michigan Saves and through GLREA to be able to focus on projects in a smaller geographic region. This helps for permitting, helps on their advertising, not have to reach out. So it's been a great program. I've been running it for 3 years now. We have great installers across the state. Got a good one here today. So happy to grow the program here in Mount Pleasant. This is Solarize by the numbers. So it just goes to show that it is a real program. We're not, making things up out here. But we've had over 1,100 participants, 423 estimates, 185 sales, ultimately saving over $357,000 just by participating in the program. 1.4 megawatts of renewable energy pulling that carbon off the grid. And so these are all numbers before even taken in 2026. So we have seen a slower 2026 since the tax credit picture is a little murky, but that's why we're here to help share to go get the money. There's money on the table for businesses, and it's really a wise investment to take advantage of right now. So next, we have Mason, who's going to be talking about sustainability efforts at Mount Pleasant. And really the idea is to partner with local units of government, just to let everyone know kind of how we're all working on this together. So thanks, Mason, for all your help, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Mason Peterson. I'm the sustainability coordinator for the city of Mount Pleasant. Yeah, I'm just gonna get into a brief overview of what we're doing as far as the sustainability goes. I've worked on the climate change preparedness plan that we have, and you can find that on the city website. It includes goals for implementing our renewable energy projects, a bunch of other things related to sustainability, but as it pertains to this, we do have the goal of increasing usage of renewables for Mount Pleasant. We also are participants in the Michigan Green Communities program. And we got a bronze certification for that for 2025. And that's a voluntary challenge that local governments, counties, townships can do to help measure the levels of environmental awareness that they have, renewable energy development, walkability, green spaces, a ton of different metrics that you can measure. And for last year, the reporting year, we got bronze, which is pretty good. Also, I work on sustainable park management, a lot of stuff with that, but some of the main things I've been doing recently is establishing pollinator zones, erosion mitigation and control along the Chippewa River, and then invasive species removal. We're going to get moving on that into the end of the fall. And working towards the Chippewa River water trail designation. That's going to include handicap accessible kayak launches, kayak lockers, a bunch of different things like that. And that's through the DNR. And then obviously community partnerships, collaborations, and volunteer work. Now more along the renewable energy lines, what we have for Mount Pleasant, we have the Lean and Green Michigan. It's a property assessed clean energy program. This is for specifically commercial, industrial, nonprofits, and multifamily housing. And what it is, it's a long-term financing tool through secure loans to help implement renewable energy projects on your properties, whether that's energy efficiency, water efficiency, or solar panels, biodigesters, that kind of thing. And then also working on integrating renewable energy into city operations. One thing I've been doing recently is utility level renewable programs, working with the Consumers Energy on their renewable energy program, how that could look for the city, and the potential cost savings we can get on that, diverting our usage from fossil fuels to renewable energy. There's also options for reducing the electricity demand at our wastewater facility. That's what that is, the word. That we have feasibility studies on how we could do that. Nothing is set in stone right now, but we are looking at like biodigesters, turning that methane generated there into actually powering the facility. And then also looking at solar panels in the city parks, getting them on the pavilions, the restrooms, anything like that. Now, why do we want Solarize in Mount Pleasant? Obviously, it supports the renewable energy goals from the climate change preparedness plan. It reduces the cost of installing solar panels for commercial, residential, nonprofit buildings. And I liked that graph that you put up there because it shows how diverse our electricity generation is and how we need to shift away from fossil fuels. But yeah, diversifying electricity generation, it makes us more resilient to future stresses, anything along the lines of rising costs. Michigan is one of the worst in the Midwest for electricity bills, all that kind of stuff. And also obviously shifting away from fossil fuels is essential in addressing the ongoing climate crisis. Now, as far as the zoning for solar panels in Mount Pleasant, all of those ordinances can be found under the Planning and Community Development tab on our city website, mountpleasant.org. And those ordinances are specifically within Article 4, Building and Lot Plans and Standards in Chapter 154, Zoning Ordinance of the City Charter. And no, it actually doesn't have a whole lot. This is what you will find on the zoning ordinances. This is what it will say if it does mention solar panels. So it is permitted in third lot layers and permitted in the first or second lot layer if it's parallel and integrated into the roof designs. And that applies to the suburban large, suburban, general urban, and urban centered characteristics. I don't know what I'm not the planner. These are like the different zoning areas, and that's what that applies to, but it's not regulated in civic zones. And then, yeah, that's all I have as far as what the city is doing. I also have our planners contact information on there if you have specific questions related to installing solar on your properties, if you want to be sure you're following those ordinances.
Great, thanks Mason, and thanks for Mount Pleasant for doing as much as you're doing. Definitely, you know, punching above your weight. Smaller city, doing a lot of good work, so appreciate that. Next we got Marie Coper of Citizens Climate Lobby. She's gonna talk about her efforts and all the good work they're up to. And Marie's been a long time GLRA supporter, so appreciate that.
Hi, thanks everybody. Welcome. Thanks Marshall for the opportunity to be here tonight to introduce you to Mount Pleasant Citizens Climate Lobby, Citizens Climate Education, in case you don't already know us. I know you're all here to learn about rooftop solar. And the wonderful thing is you don't have to be worried about climate change to enjoy the benefits of the economics of solar energy. So this introduction will be quick. Find the clicker here. Yes. So Mount Pleasant Citizens Climate Lobby is one of 16 chapters in Michigan, 500 across the country, representing nearly 10,000 people in Michigan and 250,000 across the country. We're a nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots climate organization. Our mission is to bridge divides and build the political will among the population and in Congress for effective climate solutions. As you can see here, nationally, CCL has determined that careful, bipartisan federal legislation in the following 5 areas will be the most effective approaches to addressing America's part in solving the global climate imbalance that we're experiencing now. As you can see, the electrification and energy efficiency, as well as clean energy permitting reform, are key areas, policy areas for us, and therefore we support your being here tonight. Statewide, we advocate for community solar and balcony solar, which the state legislature is currently discussing in Lansing. The climate imbalance is currently costing our country billions, multiple billions of dollars each year in the extreme storms, flooding, droughts, wildfire that we're seeing on the news every night. That's in addition to the lives lost and the livelihoods destroyed. If you'd like to know more about CCL, CCE, just check with me after the meeting. And thanks again for being here. There we are.
Awesome. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, CCL. Next, this is an exciting partnership. Really glad that we have elected pay ambassadors to help businesses and nonprofits get their projects across the finish line, to get those tax credits in your bank account. This is cash flow. Frankie's been a great help in pulling this meeting together, so thanks for all your good work.
Hello, everybody. My name is Frankie. I am the elective pay ambassador for Region 5, which is the region that Isabella County sits in. And I'm going to tell you about some of the tax credits that you can get for installing solar in tax exempt entities. So elective pay tax credits, official term is elective pay. You also might have heard it called direct pay. It is a mechanism for tax exempt entities investing in clean energy created by the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. It can combine with grants, loans, and other types of funding, depending on what kind of tax credit you are claiming. And these are uncapped and uncompetitive. So these are just available to anyone who applies for them. Here are some examples of some of the different kinds of entities that can be eligible for elective pay. So you've got your municipalities, local and tribal governments, houses of worship. Generally, any of those entities that aren't usually paying taxes are eligible for these credits. Once again, my name is Frankie, and I am the ambassador for this region right here, including these 5 counties. That's my email right there. I also have cards in the back if you would like to take any of those with you. Here we just sort of have a basic roadmap of the elective pay process to show you sort of how it moves through. The project has to be placed in service. Then you will be identifying your tax credits, compiling all the information, pre-filing, waiting for the IRS to do its thing, and then you receive a check from the IRS. Unfortunately, right now, we are just looking at the solar as the chargers, that deadline has passed. But for solar credits, typically, these start at around 30%. If it's over a megawatt, which a lot of the projects aren't going to be, it starts at 6%. And then projects smaller than 1 megawatt are going to be exempt from prevailing wage and apprenticeship rules, which we'll go over on the next slide. And any of those bigger projects are going to be not exempt from those. And those are just the prevailing wage and apprenticeship requirements are for those larger projects, and you have to meet them in your specific area. So that's something that we would go over. And this is one of the big ones that really one of the only things that can't be used is any components from China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea. So that is called the prohibited foreign entity rules. So that is one thing you have to watch out for with your installers, is making sure nothing comes from those areas. Otherwise, it's all good. There is a bonus credit for using mostly domestic materials, but that's not related to this at all. So on top of that base 30%, you can also get a variety of bonus credits. First one, just if you're located in one of those regions, great, bonus credit. You get those percentages on top of that. Second would be for low income and tribal communities. And that's something you can go on the IRS website and take a look at. Just type in the zip code, might be another bonus credit on top of that. And then this is the domestic content credit that you can get for using mostly domestic components. Or you might get a penalty if it does not meet this, but you still are eligible for those credits. It just takes it down a little bit. Filing deadline is going to be, this is a little while, the 15th day of the 5th month after your tax year. And you might be thinking, well, these are tax exempt entities. What's their tax year? That's something you talk to me about. And we determine when that tax year is going to be for you and when you're going to be filing that tax return. And then as far as braiding other funds into this, you can use this on top of other grants. However, you can't exceed 100% of the project cost. So that would just be adjusted based on how much you got with the grant money versus how much you are owed with those tax credits. And then that is me. Yeah, same question for that. That's it for me. Again, I've got cards in the back if you would like to speak with me more, and I will be staying around.
Yeah, and thank you, Frankie, for all that great work. And then Michigan Solar Solutions, a great contractor. Happy to be working with them here. Thanks, Dan, for all your guys' good work.
Yeah, thank you. What do we say about giving a round of applause for our previous speakers so far? You guys done a great job. Seriously, thank you, thank you. So yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak tonight. Whether you guys are solar serious or solar curious, I hope you learned something here today. So I always like to point something out on this screen here. Well, two things. One, feel free to scan the QR code. That is my contact information. But most importantly is a trusted partner, because we live in an industry that's solar that is very fast and growing, and it can be fast and loose, meaning there's a lot of growth, right? So new companies popping up left or right. So it's important now more than ever to understand looking for that trusted partner, which we'll unpack a little bit further. But who Michigan Solar Solutions is, we're known as an EPC, so engineering, procurement, and construction. So you name it, we do it. It's all inclusive. Obviously for our commercial customers, if they have house electricians, things like that, we get a little more a la carte. We serve commercial, agricultural, municipal, and residential customers across Michigan. Again, like you said, like I said earlier, we've done it all: carport, ground mount, you name it. One thing that is really unique about us is we are an ESOP company structure. So we're an employee-owned company. Something we're really proud of, because that means from the person you talk to when you pick up on the phone to the person out installing and servicing your array, we're all motivated for this company to do well, keep you a happy customer, projects on time, under budget, etc. Today, we've done over 2,000 installations. We're probably closer to around 2,500. Done over 25 megawatts of solar. So we're really starting to make a positive impact as state legislation over the past few years is improving. As Marie alluded to, we're still working on community solar, and so it's still some things to come, but we've overcome some amazing challenges in these few years. So we're really, really proud of what Michigan's doing. 60 plus employees strong. And we were recently awarded the 2024 EIBC Project of the Year, as we played a development part in the IBE 58 building. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a really cool project. Come talk to me. I'm happy to talk your ear off about it.
We actually have a Solarize event there.
Yeah, absolutely.
September 23rd.
So feel free to come. And we're currently selected as one of Ann Arbor's sustainable energy utility contractors. So we're really proud of that, because there was a lot of vetting of us to do so. One thing we focus on is this isn't transactional, right? We don't look at it as, hey, our company, you make your career off of a job, you make a career off of reputation. So it's all from even constructions. We understand your individual goals. Maybe your carbon neutrality goals is what's driving this solar initiative, or maybe it's savings based. These are different systems based on needs, site constraints, electric bill tariffs, which we'll unpack further, of course. But one piece I think is critical more than all this is just communication along the way. Because what we'll unpack together today is solar's not easy. I actually had a customer tell me one time, why aren't all businesses doing this with the payback we can get right now? It's not easy, right? You don't go buy a panel and plug it into the outlet and we have solar. I wish it were that easy. So we'll adopt that further. But so who's this guy? I always love to have this slide here, because this is pretty powerful to show that these are installations that we've done around Michigan, but these are installations I've personally been a part of. So in 2020, I joined the company as a residential, on the residential team, and I helped 100 homeowners transition to solar, and that was time to make the jump into commercial. So although you'll see there's a lot of homes here, there are businesses popping up. So you name it, we have a happy customer around you. And when I say a happy customer, that doesn't mean every project went as we planned, right? We're doing retrofit construction on a lot of these projects. Surprises come up. But what's key about our reputation is it's how we handle those challenges with our customers. And that's what really drew me to Michigan Solar Solutions, was the integrity that's built into the lifeblood of this company. And a part of that is being NABCEP certified. So myself, I am a PVTS, which is a photovoltaic technical sales. It's a certification that was quite hard to achieve. It actually took some proof of, hey, I know what I'm doing, projects. There was a lot to go in with it. But when I secured that certification, I was less than 100 individuals across the country. And there's 11,800 plus installation companies in the United States right now. So very proud of that. And I'd like to say, yeah, that's a great certification. There are members of my team who have far more impressive certifications. Some of the tests are pretty wild. So, but in a nutshell, I help companies navigate their interest in solar, but we do more than that. A big part of what we do is just looking at your rate schedule to evaluate, hey, based on what you're on right now with utility, is there savings that you could have before switching to solar? And you'd be surprised that sometimes just being simply on the incorrect rate schedule will cost. We've helped companies save $15,000 a year before integrating solar because they were on the wrong bill. So if that's something you guys want to look at, we do those type of feasibility studies. It's just part of what we do. So spent an unhealthy amount of time reviewing and analyzing utility bills. And it's amazing how every year there's a new charge they increase, or, hey, we didn't raise our energy charges, but we put a new line item on your bill. So I challenge all of you to go back and look at your bills and see what the line items are. And even see if you can, DT doesn't even display on their website what those charges are covering. So, or the other utilities too. Proud solar nerd, of course. Why are companies going solar now? There's a lot of reasons. Utility volatility. The biggest being is that the tax credit and incentives, which there's been confusion around, right? As we talked about here, it's still available for commercial entities, but we have a ticking clock right now to the end of 2027. So although it sounds like there's a lot of time, we have municipality approvals and interconnection timelines that we are subject to, as well as volatility with materials and such. So I would say that sustainability goals is a big driver and motivator, but it's not about the carbon neutrality anymore. It's about predictability on your electric bills. We used to model around a 3.5% rate increase, and we're seeing about 5% or just there under 5%. So if we're not raising our rates to compensate for that, it's eating into our margins year over year. And I'll actually show you a bill here in a few minutes that's from 2021 to 2026, the exact same usage from the exact same customer, and the impact. It's pretty substantial. So solar works, like I said, all shapes or sizes. This here is an example of a ballasted roof mount. So when the sun's shining, we're going to generate that energy. We actually, the panels are designed to pull that light in as best it can. They don't reflect. That'd be lost power. But from there, it sends that energy into an inverter, which converts it from DC to AC, and then feeds into your main distribution panel. And from there, it's just looking for any load or consumption that it can satisfy or negate on site. In the event we've got more energy produced than we need, you're going to sell it back to the utility for a future billing credit. It is a credit only, not a check at the end of the year by any means. But it's powerful when we look at, hey, maybe I don't need that energy on the 4th of July when my building's sitting unoccupied. We can still garner value out of it, just like we can on the residential side. All right, I said it a couple of times now, solar comes in all shapes or sizes. This is an installation we did in Marlette, and we always joke, because I'm going to show you the other side of the array and they have on their building. In fact, so this is their installation on the roof. It's 1,400 solar panels, quite a large, sizable project. And we all joked internally because these guys were more excited about this going online, and it's 1 kilowatt. And the reason being, it is. And the reason why they did that is these panels are sitting on the back of the building facing away from the street. Nobody would know they were ever there. So they wanted to make a statement. Dan, we want the community to know we're making our foot forward towards sustainability. We're not just talking, we're doing. So this was the child of all the brainstorm that came out of it. We're really excited. It's really cool. But unfolds every morning, tracks the sun, folds up at the end of the day. So and what's really cool is the customer's actually looking at adding a ground mount to the left or to the west of this solar flower. So really cool. They're seeing the value in looking to expand. Now this one I was really excited about, another customer of mine. The way the photo's oriented is a little misleading. This is actually north and this is south. And what we have here is a dual tilt panel. So they actually are tilted east and west. And we did this for a few reasons. One, we were actually able to get more panels up there, trying to get more offset, more sustainability towards their goals, right? But what was cool with this one is they have demand billing, and usually solar facing south, you're going to see it kind of come up and hit high noon. It's going to peak its performance and then start to taper off throughout the day. With this east-western configuration, they said, we don't want just that peak at noon. We want to spread that out as much as we can. So it's a really cool installation. And again, we're seeing this as a regular theme here. They're actually looking at putting carports to the north there. So we always see individuals or businesses start with getting their toes wet and making the jump to doing more. So we do that. Phased approach. It's pretty common. All right, this one's really cool. This is St. Mark's Catholic Church in Grand Blanc. And what's really cool is I've been asking for a drone photo, but you'll actually see that it's in the shape of a cross for this church. So we're really excited about this, as were they. Again, comes in all shapes or sizes. You name it, we have done it. This is a really, really fun one. They're all so unique in their installation styles and complexities, but this one's a fun one because we're on the ground. We actually used a bifacial solar panel, which means, hey, we don't just collect on the front side of the panel, but on the back side as well. And being that this is a countertop manufacturer, they took some old quartz and got a rock crusher from just scrap from jobs, and they broke it up and they placed it around the array. And the reason they do this is really cool. The bifacial, because it has the capture and ability on the bottom side, they're experiencing what's called albedo radiation, or reflected light. So that white, the white quartz is so reflective, it actually has sunlight bounce up and collect underneath. As I mentioned a few minutes ago.
That's really cool.
What I mentioned a few minutes ago, that solar panels, when they're south oriented, they peak at high noon. When we did our wrap up meeting with the customer on site, when the system went live, it was 10:30 in the morning and it was peaking. So we didn't even model the bifacial gain, and when we did an analysis of his savings post-solar a year after his installation, I think we were telling him around 18,000 and he was north of around 25. So he was quite happy with those electric bill savings. This is another fun one. It's kind of hard to see here, but it is, instead of being a purely ground mount where we did like a pile drive or a ground screw, it's actually what they call ballasted. So we have giant ballasts, concrete with rebar in them, and then we mount the equipment on because we've got an old parking lot here. When this customer purchased the building, they had to have, I think it was 5 parking spots for every 1 employee. So they had just a vacant lot. City changed their rules. So here we are, we're coming along to say, hey, we'd like to install, City of Livonia, we'd like to install this 250 kilowatt ground mount array, to which they replied, we only allow 10 kilowatts on the ground. So we had to do some back and forth with the city. Really cool to see that they saw the value in solar. And not only that, the city awarded this customer an award. It's a pretty big recognition from the city. So it was really cool to see that. And they didn't do it as yet when we took the drone photos, but they were going to paint the parking lot white to get that similar albedo radiation effect that we saw in this last one here. Carports, this is for a bank up in Standish. They did a carport with some battery storage. And what's really cool here, some ancillary benefits, right? We can have the covered parking for the employees, but 2 is the optics of it. A lot of times you put solar on a building, you don't even know it's there. I think of Aldi. You guys have probably driven by an Aldi before. Chances are there's probably solar on that building. You just can't see it because they sit so low when they're flat roofs. So this gets a lot of optics and marketing out of it. And then I like to call this one the deluxe, and for transparency purposes, it was the only project that I've showing photos that I wasn't directly involved, but my team members were, and it was what an experience. This campus actually has multiple meters, so we have the roof mount feeding the courthouse, carports, some of them feeding the jail cell, and then there is north of the property out of this photo is where they did the ground mounted array. So like I said, all shapes or sizes, you name it, we have done it at this point. We make it easy to go solar. Like I said, it's challenging. We're doing retrofit construction. So whether you're solar serious or solar curious, reach out. We'll run some scenarios and analysis for you to make sure, does it make sense for us? Because at the end of the day, we have come across prospective customers who are excited, and unfortunately, due to site constraints and different things, solar wasn't the best fit. And we'll certainly tell you that and be quite transparent. What most other companies don't talk about, kind of alluded to a little bit, every site is different. There's utility bottlenecks. There's challenges with the permitting and the AHJs, code compliance. How about it doesn't eliminate 100% of the bill? So these are all things that we need to take into consideration as we're looking at solar individual goals. Post-solar audits are a big one of that too. So experience, like I said, it matters now more than ever because we're up on the timeline of that direct pay going away, but there's still time to take advantage of it. So when it comes to it, I don't want to get too technical into the weeds, but here in Michigan, we look at different categories of solar. Category 2 is anything 150 AC and below. If we're in a category 2 system, we've got a very good opportunity to get the tax credit, get your system installed by the end of 2027. When we get into category 3 systems, which, you know, are going to be the large one I showed you on the roof, here's category 3 system. Those do have some extended lead times on interconnection approvals, things like that. So if you're in a category 3, timeline is very critical, but we cannot guarantee that you'd get the tax credit. So what we do is actually show you pro forma. Hey, here's with your tax credit. Here's a pro forma without, so you can truly make that evaluation. And of course, we're going to make our best effort to satisfy and get that tax credit. A couple things that are going to happen though is we do, like I said, we've got material lead times. We touched on a little bit. It's going to get wild. We're at the end of that tax credit. We had the safe harbor deadline. So material volatility is going to get wild. And then we have Section 232 tariffs, which is on polysilicon and polysilicon derivatives. And this doesn't just impact solar because polysilicon is used in chips for supercomputers. So think of anything from like drones and radar and sonar and things like that. So we're going to see some changes coming here in December, which are going to increase price. So again, we're at a sweet spot that maybe we can lock in some material prices before they start to see the impact. All right, I teased a little bit earlier about about a customer who their electric bill 2021 to 2026. So as you'll see, 431,476 kilowatt hours every month exact. I just took it and said, hey, let's apply today's rate. They jumped from $58,296 to $80,837. So my first question was when we reconnected was, how did your organization plan for this? What do we've got? Almost $23,000 increase in your operational expenses, to which there wasn't an answer. That means it's eating into our margins. So this is not just a, hey, I want to do this to take that sustainability step, be a good steward of the state. This is about protecting your business and your margins. Another piece that really makes us unique is we've fully staffed service department. So that's what they do, 40 plus hours a week. We support our systems we install, but we also support other installations. Found out a while ago that there's a lot of great companies set for installation, but not all of them support and keep that continuous touch. So when we're calling and having an issue in year 12, we're here to take care of you and support you. They have 40 plus certifications and counting. And just in the, the theme of O&M, commissioning is not the end. So we do have O&M packages and things like that available, 3-year workmanship guarantee. But the relationship doesn't end just because the project did itself. Like I said, we're here to support you. It's common. Customers will say, hey, I want to look at a phase 2 integration of batteries, et cetera. You name it, we're here to help. Why buying local is crucial. And this is huge because there are, like I said, it's a growing industry. There's a lot of companies now looking at trying to push and sell solar, but they don't understand the complexities and the nuances of local municipalities. Every municipality in Michigan is different, has their own rules, residential and commercial, different set of rules. So understanding those complexities and nuances is going to keep a project on track and on path, and more importantly, on budget. We've been in business since 2009, so we've had the trials and tribulations with the different AHJs, DTE, et cetera. But we've learned a lot in that time, and we've got actually a pretty strong working relationship with the utility company. No one give me any dirty looks here. I was throwing some fun facts. 1 hour sunlight is enough to power the earth for entire day. It's pretty powerful, yet we're fighting the installation of solar still. It amazes me. The cost to install solar has declined more than 70% during our company's tenure, and we were founded in 2009. So I'm sorry, 2007. So we're close to 20 years. It's a pretty significant drop. And then the sun is actually white. It's not yellow or orange. That's just being filtered through the Earth's atmosphere. I don't know what happened to the image there. But we talked about there is a group buy discount that we're offering for any attendees here today. So you get 5% for being here, just as being a participation with a 1% adder for everybody who signs up, with the caveat that the cap is 15% maximum. But in addition, if you know any individuals who are not able to attend, but you want to recommend them and they want to participate in the group buy, we will give both you and that individual a percentage point off as part of the discount. Tell your friends. Timeline. So 2 weeks after the event, you guys have to request a quote. So a 2-week window. From there, it'll take about 2 to 3 weeks to put together a quote. We'll ask for some information, bills, some usage data. We'll talk through some ways to really dive into and get you a nice accurate performa. And then once that's delivered, we have 2 months for you guys to make determinations on and evaluate if this is something you'd like to proceed with. Planning beats predictability. So you guys don't need to know what the electric rates are going to look like in 2030. And spoiler alert, they're going to be a lot. They're increasing about 5% per year, just under. And we used to model like a 3% to be conservative, but we're increasing that as of late to be more reflective. We don't need to know what the incentives look like in the future or tariffs. What we need to know is what are we paying for today? What would securing a portion of our business's energy usage at a fixed rate? So as next year when the electric rates increase on by the utility, your solar asset still has that same locked in price per watt or the levelized cost of energy. And it's pretty powerful to see how significantly less it is now, how cheap it is to draw off your solar array. And as these rates increase, that delta will only increase. So thank you, everybody. My contact information, feel free to scan, reach out. I'm happy to have any conversations.
Thanks, Dan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he said it, but the only guarantee in life is a high electricity bill.
Yeah.
So yeah, open for questions. If people got questions, keep it loose.
It says your company, handle the vagaries of the tax process, the whole accounting process, or does a church or a business need to get their own lawyer or whatnot involved, all that paperwork?
Yeah, correct. That's a good question. So great question is, does Michigan Solar Solutions help with, the tax credits and direct pay and all that? And unfortunately, we do not, right? So we're not tax professionals. That's where I would lean over to my friends here and say, hey, they'll take good care of you. But what we will do as part of our process is wrap up. We call it a wrap up folder. And that will have things in there like the equipment, all that you would need for that tax credit or those incentives. So we try to make it like, hey, here's it with a pretty bow on it, but we can't do that for you.
Just wanted to add as well, on top of that, the Michigan Infrastructure Office does have accounting services. So for a church or a nonprofit, if they are going after these specific tax credits, there are accounting services available for free. They just have to sort of sign up for them through Meotech.
Perfect. Any others?
So I know, let's say American Mystical, they have a giant flat roof. It was looked at about 10 years ago, and the primary cost was going to be redoing the roof to hold the weight.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still a factor? Are they lighter now? Or?
Not necessarily lighter, but there's different ways you could attach. So what was likely quoted in the past was like a fully ballasted system, meaning there was no physical attachments. It's actually weighted down by the weight of itself and some ballast blocks, things like that. If you've got weight issues, then it could be a case of, well, then maybe we do some physical attachments, and that will help ease up that weight and load. Because we've had some where, hey, we're on a 10-story apartment complex and we can only add 4 pounds per square foot. Well, then we had to do a lot more attachments than we normally would have liked to, but it keeps us within those weight thresholds. So yeah, if you guys want to take a look, do you guys know if it's like just a membrane or they're like the ballast rocks up there?
There was rocks. I think they took the rocks off a couple of years ago. So that maybe less
Beautiful.
of a problem now.
Yes. Yeah, you'd be surprised. A roofer told me one time, and I'm not going to try and quote it because I'd misinform you all, but they're saying just a little like 2x2 square of roof with those rocks, the weight is unbelievable. So yeah, if you guys remove the rocks, I wouldn't be as concerned about weight at that point. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Have you done any on the farm with vertical panels so you can farm between the panels?
I don't believe we've done any vertical panels like that, but what we have seen is where make them a little bit higher, just like sheep can graze and things like that, or hey, I still want to be able to mow and take care of underneath there, so you would just want to elevate those panels up. So it's just a matter of saying, hey, we install, normally the bottom of a ground mount when the panels are usually sit about 2 to 3 feet high. We can elevate those for certain needs.
I know they're doing that in Europe, that's why.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And agrovoltaics is pretty cool. If you guys want to see something cool, go do some YouTube on agrovoltaics. It's really cool what they're able to do.
It's a combination of farming and solar. Really, Michigan is a huge potential for it. So there are some more seats up here for folks that are just coming in. We're just wrapping up the commercial portion and we'll get started with the residential in about 10 minutes here. So do we have any other questions? And we'll be hanging around as well. Like no, so all right, thank you everyone.